The Indian Prime Minister and the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky are likely to meet this September on the sidelines of the UNGA. However, top Indian government sources have said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's attendance is yet to be confirmed. The two leaders were previously expected to meet on the sidelines of the G7 summit in Canada. However, the meeting could not materialize. On Monday, the Indian Prime Minister held a phone call with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky days after he spoke with Vladimir Putin. Now, both leaders reviewed their ties while advocating for a peaceful settlement of the conflict. And during their telephonic conversation, Volodymyr Zelensky said that both leaders planned a personal meeting in September during the UNGA and will work on an exchange of visits. Now, these developments have come ahead of the high-stakes meeting between the American President Donald Trump and the Russian President Vladimir Putin, as well as American sanctions on India's Russian oil imports. Now, there are also multiple reports earlier that claim that the Indian Prime Minister will meet with the American President Donald Trump on the sidelines of the 80th UNGA in the United States. Now, incidentally, the Indian Prime Minister's name had figured in the provisional list of speakers at the 80th UNGA session. He had last attended the UNGA Assembly debates in 2021 at the 76th session and had made a token appearance at the summit of the future last year. From 2022 till 2024, he was represented by the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar at the UNGA debates. However, according to top government sources, the Indian Prime Minister is yet to confirm his attendance. In case he does not go, then the Minister of External Affairs S. Jaishankar is likely to attend the UNGA. All right, so this, of course, is a significant development where, according to sources, it appears that the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi could meet on the sidelines of the UNGA in New York later this September, although the Indian Prime Minister's visit to UNGA is still yet to be officially confirmed. And for more on this, our Foreign Affairs editor Siddhant Zabal is joining us with more details. Over to you, Siddhant, tell us more.
Well, so far there hasn't been any confirmation, Mohammed, when it comes to Indian Prime Minister's visit to UNGA. Now, there are tentative schedules which are released on a regular interval. The last one, I believe, was in July. One has been released just on August, and it shows that India has listed head of government, that is Prime Minister level representation at the UNGA. Now, sources have told us that so far there hasn't been any stance or any call that has been taken on whether the Prime Minister will go, but this is part of the protocol by the Indian side and by other foreign governments to make sure that their leaders are on the list, the revised list that has been issued. Now, there is obviously a big question. Will there be a meeting between US President Donald Trump and the Indian Prime Minister? Well, nobody's going to say that so early. It's almost a month since the UNGA, and we know that when it comes to bilateral meetings, they are decided usually on a short notice. Also, President Zelensky, in his post after conversation with PM Modi, said that he is expected to meet Prime Minister Modi. Both leaders could not meet on the sidelines of the G7 summit in Canada. So there are a lot of permutations and combinations, but only time will tell.
Indeed, and also what is interesting, Siddhant, is that on Monday, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a phone call with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and they've spoken about a different array of issues there. And also, in the past, the Indian Prime Minister, in his meetings with both Vladimir Putin and with Volodymyr Zelensky, has said that if the two nations want, then he can also perhaps play the role of a mediator. Now, give us a sense as to how crucial this particular aspect is, because India has a good relationship with Russia and also with the United States of America and also with Ukraine as well.
Well, yes, when it comes to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, India has taken a stance that dialogue and diplomacy is the only way forward. India has reached out to both Russia and Ukraine. The Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister Modi, was in Russia twice last year. He visited Ukraine as well, which was seen as a significant step by leader of the world's largest democracy at a time when we know that the geopolitics is changing very fast. But of course, it is the US angle in many ways. The relationship between India and US has in many ways nosedived, primarily because of Donald Trump's tantrums over tariffs, that's the word I would like to use. And secondly, of course, it is closeness with the Pakistani side. The Pakistani Field Marshal was in the United States for the second time in 2 months. In the first meeting, he met the US President Donald Trump as well. So that closeness, at least the public closeness that is being seen, even though the American side is stating that they have good relationship and strategic partnership with India. There are no takers here in New Delhi over what is seen as a backstabbing perhaps by the American side coming in support of the Pakistani side. And perhaps this is nothing new. In the past, at least in the last century, that has been seen.
Right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Siddhant Sabal, for joining us with more updates on this. We'll of course come back to you as more details emerge in the story.